In today's video, we're going to take a look at several Canon mirrorless cameras to figure out which one is the best fit for you as a portrait photographer. Hey everybody, Lindsay here, and I know that picking out the right camera for you, it can be stressful. It's a big financial investment if you do this for a living. It can be an essential decision for your livelihood. I get it. And there are many different considerations that range from the budget to the weight to the features. So today we're going to be talking about what is the right fit for you as a portrait photographer. We're going to be looking at 5 Canon mirrorless cameras: the R7, the R, the R6 Mark II, the R5, and the R3. Now let's begin with a quick discussion of mirrorless cameras in general. If you already shoot Canon and you haven't switched over to mirrorless, well, why would you do it now? I have entire videos about this, but to oversimplify it, I think there's really 2 main benefits for you in portrait photography. First, the electronic viewfinder. It allows you to see the exposure in real time. It is a lifesaver because you don't have to keep chimping or checking the back of the camera. It makes you shoot more quickly and more accurately. And next, the focus capabilities of mirrorless cameras are vastly superior. In fact, they have this thing called face and eye tracking. What it does is it finds the eye closest to camera, focuses on it, and then stays in focus. What's wonderful about this is I don't have to think about that part of the equation. I kind of just go into autopilot, and then I can focus on expression and composition, like the things that matter. I'm also not afraid of shooting at really wide apertures because I know the camera is helping me out to nail the focus, even at 1.2. Now certainly, there are other benefits to mirrorless cameras, like the Canon RF lenses. They are often lighter or they're sharper. And these cameras, they're great in low light focusing. And that might be important if you also shoot weddings or events, though it's not usually essential for portraits. Now last but not least, one other reason that you may want to switch over now is that Canon is going to be phasing out their DSLRs, so eventually you're going to have to make the switch. So why not on your next purchase? All right, so you are ready to get a mirrorless camera and you've decided to go with Canon, but which one? Which criteria should you be looking out for? If you check the link in the description below, I put a little side-by-side comparison of some of the cameras we're talking about today. But in the video, I'm going to stick to top-level ideas, the ones that will actually make a difference for you in portrait photography. I'd say that the biggest considerations are budget, megapixel, focus, frame rate. Those are the main things we're going to be looking at. Now with budget considerations, is it about having the best gear possible or simply the best for your money? Here I have listed the cameras from highest price to lowest price. But this is probably not your sole consideration, especially if you do this for a living. So let's look at some of the features. All of the cameras we're going to be looking at today have sufficient megapixels for portrait photography, with at least 24 megapixels. However, if you need to blow up the prints really, really large, or maybe you like to shoot wide and crop in, I recommend the Canon R5 because it has 45 megapixels. Now I've already mentioned face and eye tracking, and all of the cameras we're talking about today have that feature, so I think you're pretty much good to go with any of the cameras when it comes to focus, but the R3 is by far the best when it comes to the fastest tracking for things like sports. Now the EOS R, that is the OG original mirrorless camera that Canon created, and because of that, it's first generation tech when it comes to focus. It's still good, but if you have the choice, I would probably go with the other camera options that we're listing here because it's going to make your job even easier. The next question to ask yourself is, do you shoot action? Maybe you shoot dance or athletes in motion, or you're a high school senior portrait photographer that sometimes shoots the sports game. Well, if that's true, then you need a high frame rate. That's when it matters. But for portraiture in general, if your subjects are just in motion, kind of moving around or interacting, all of these cameras have a high enough frame rate. But if you do happen to photograph action, I check out the R3 or the R6 Mark II because these are the ones that beat out the other cameras when it comes to this feature. Now there are other things to look at. Things like battery life, focus bracketing, other specialty features you need for your job. For example, how important is weight to you? Do you have a bad back or carpal tunnel and just want the lightest gear possible? What about video features? Are you getting into video? Is this something you may want to add in the future? Then look at the specs and make sure it has capabilities for 4K or even 8K. In other words, other considerations are specific to the way you shoot and the way you run your business. So the big question of the day is, what camera is right for you? To put this simply, I don't really think you can go wrong with any of these choices. All of these cameras will do a good job with portrait photography, but some of them will have features that are more capable for the way that you shoot. I'd say that as a general best quality and best features for portrait photographers, I'd recommend the Canon R5. It's got the most megapixels, which is great for large prints. It has 8K video if you're dabbling into the world of motion. Plus, it has amazing focus capabilities and works amazing in low light. Like, it's just a great camera. It's the one that I shoot. But if you do need a less expensive option, the Canon R6 Mark II still gives you most of those features, but it's $1,000 less. Really what you're sacrificing is some megapixels and the 8K video. So if budget is your biggest consideration, the R7 is a great middle ground for both megapixels and frame rate, and it's another $1,000 less expensive than the R6 Mark II. But if you choose the R7, know that it's a crop sensor, so you don't have as much high dynamic range or high ISO capabilities. That's not really necessarily important for most portraits, but if it is to you, you want to keep that in mind. All right, so lastly, the last consideration is for portrait photographers who do need to capture motion. Perhaps you're shooting dance and sports or a hobbyist wildlife. I would look at the R3 if price is not a consideration, or the R6 Mark II because it's half the price but still has really great performance. All right, so let's put this all together. If I want to put it as simply as possible, I think the best performance and quality would be the Canon R5 and the Canon R6 Mark II. That second one is a great option if you just need a little bit of cost savings. Now, if you want more budget, maybe check out the R7, and if you need some higher performance options, check out the R3. I hope this video has helped you to navigate the current Canon mirrorless options on the market. Trust me, all of these cameras are great, and mirrorless is going to make your life so much easier, so you can concentrate on what's important, not just the tech, but the art and connecting with your subjects. If you would like to see the cameras that we've discussed in this video, be sure to check out the links in the description below and visit Adorama. And don't forget, I also have a comparison side by side of these different cameras, so that may be useful to you in your purchasing decisions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.